All right, welcome back, everybody. We are here again. Apologies if people don't understand the time change. It will be back to the normal next week, but we're all here. We are doing Aliens Part 3 now. Or?
It is technically Part 3.
It's technically Part 3.
Yeah. I put Part 2. It's actually Part 3.
Yeah, but yeah,
was Part 2.
We've got Part 2. There we go. So of course we've got Hefty and Nick.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And we're joined by Marty also, one of our great friends that is jumping on tonight's one as well. And of course, we've got special guest Michael, the paranormal lawyer, who's.
Guys, I don't mean to cut you guys off. Unfortunately, I'm having real bad connections again, so I might have to go to my other computer.
Okay, bud.
Not a problem, buddy. Not a problem. But yeah, Michael, how have you been, buddy? All right.
Oh man, I've been awesome.
You're right.
Okay, buddy.
I'm just starting to realize now that things are starting to really get back to more normal. Maybe not even more normal. Maybe this is going to be quite a push as far as activity goes in the paranormal community. People are getting out and about. More conferences are being held live. A lot of speakers are itching and wanting to get back on the road again, to get their messages out there. So it's starting to emerge this spring. It's going to be very interesting.
It's good. It's good to hear. We're still waiting, unfortunately, aren't we? Well, we're going on our first ghost walk on the 1st of April.
Yeah.
That we'll be doing with Haunted Nights, the company we're working with.
Is it the Black-Eyed Children?
Yeah, it's Village of the Damned. It's a place near here that we're going to be doing. But yeah, so tonight we're going to be discussing, obviously, aliens, and I thought most in particular, alien abductions and close encounters, some of the famous cases. Now, I thought I'd ask you, Michael, because you're the plethora of knowledge to do with these things. Has anything been going on in the past few months to do with like governments releasing new information? Because I know there's a lot of stuff starting to come out now.
Yes.
You gossip.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking in June of this year, coming up, relatively soon. The Senate Intelligence Committee, this is the big guys, up on the Hill, have ordered that the UAP task force that was created recently, by the way, now come out and release a unclassified report on UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, and what the government has been studying and what they know. So everyone is kind of holding their breath at this point to find out what indeed kind of disclosure will happen this June when they literally come out with a written report. I mean, this is going to be unclassified, something that everybody can talk about. And it will be supposedly the state of the art of what they're not necessarily what they know, but what they're going to be willing to tell us.
That's fair.
That's the case with most things, isn't it? I think that it's a case of what they want us to know, isn't it? And then what we're allowed to know, sort of thing.
And here's the real anticipation going on here, you guys. As you guys all know, I was involved my client Grant Cameron was the guy who brought to the world that Admiral Wilson. Sorry about that, Adam.
That's fine. I was like, I did what now?
Well, this is the most important document in the history of the planet right now. It's called the Admiral Wilson UFO Smoking Gun Leak of the Century Memo. And my client, Grant Cameron, was the guy who found it and got it released to the world eventually. And ever since that document was released last year, that is the first tipping point on our planet that people have had any kind of official confirmation of not only extraterrestrial craft visiting the Earth, but technology being recovered and extraterrestrial entities existing on the planet. So ever since last June, we have been waiting to see now if the U.S. government has been willing or want to confirm any of the amazing details that are appearing in the Admiral Wilson smoking gun memo. It's what Richard Dolan, the UFO researcher and historian, has called the UFO leak of the century. Now, here's the deal. When Richard said that term, when he coined this document, that most important memo of the century, I started thinking to myself, because I knew what it was and I knew all the details of it. I said, my word, this is more than that. Not just the century. This is, for instance, every point at the development on a planet in the universe. There comes a time when the inhabitants of the planet realize that they are not alone in the universe. That's a one-time shot, one time during their existence and development. We have just reached that point with this smoking gun memo. I mean, if you would want to look back on when this whole actual truth thing actually started, it would be the Admiral Wilson smoking gun memo. And so in reality, it's going to be very interesting to see if this report from the Senate Intelligence Committee UAP task force gets into any details of confirming the details of the Admiral Wilson memo. The idea, let me just distill the memo real quick. It says that the U.S. military is in possession of craft not made of this world, not made by human hands, that can travel through interstellar space, our atmosphere, underwater, and through dimensions. That's basically the bombshell ideas that are included. And this, like I said, this memo, it's 15 pages long, single spaced, naming names, organizations, and special access, unacknowledged access programs. So it's very exciting every moment now that we have potential disclosure about to happen, because that tipping point that I believe has already happened back in June of last year could be confirmed.
Wow.
That just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And here's the deal, you guys. We are, each one of us has the Willy Wonka golden ticket to the 50-yard line of the biggest Super Bowl event of all time that is unfolding right in front of our very eyes. Literally, there is only one moment on this planet where at one point the entire planet will realize we're not alone in the universe. I mean, there have been famous prophets throughout our existence. There have been, Christ entities. There have been people coming forth with amazing earth-changing revelations. But at one point, the entire planet will be affected, not just a certain portion or a certain denomination or whatever. The entire planet will realize that, okay, of course, we all know, all of us that have been in the field going, that's no way we've ever been alone in the universe. But it's never been a realization like that globally, and it's about to happen, I believe.
That's insane.
Okay, well, I mean, what do you guys think of that? I mean,
I love it. I remember seeing the, I think which everybody saw when they declassified all the black and white footage fairly recently. I think it was in the past year or two.
Pentagon release stuff.
Yeah. This is actually really more Marty's wheelhouse over there. He does a lot of this kind of stuff. But I was like, I knew it. Literally, that's the only thing I was like, I knew it.
Yeah, I think it's the accounts that are the craziest, Commander David Fravor and stuff like that, who came in close contact with these UFOs or UAPs or whatever. And, he's the number one guy that is very credible to, with his eyewitness account of what he encountered. So,
I also represent Chief Petty Officer Kevin Day, Gary Voorhees, and a lot of the veterans aboard the USS Nimitz and Princeton, as their their paranormal lawyer. Every once in a while, you need a lawyer when you're going on the circuit. Out there, you know? So anyway, I've been doing that for decades, helping people in the paranormal. But these guys are just, by the way, they're putting together another UAPX, they call it. Their corporation is UAPX expedition to go back out to Catalina Island with high technical sensitive gear to try to capture these tic-tac UFOs on tape and record the data that we get out there, because they're about ready to put that whole expedition together just to see, because this was supposedly not a one-off event, you know, back in 2004. This was something that was going on for quite a while, and literally hundreds of these 40-foot long tic-tac shaped UFOs were going at 200 miles an hour, by the way, in flights north to south past Catalina Island. So it's very fascinating how this stuff is, and if you'll notice in the mainstream media, even in the not even the mainstream, but sometimes you'll find a report in the mainstream, but all over the alternative media are these new reports now of close encounters with military Air Force vehicles of these craft. You know, they're calling them drones, they're calling them balloons, you know, whatever it is, but they're outperforming, like you mentioned. Commander Fravor says that this thing that he found hovering above the surface of the ocean off there, the coast of or south of San Diego and off the coast of Mexico, he says that thing came up in a spiral to meet him as he was spiraling down, came across his cockpit only a half mile away from his craft, by the way. He knows exactly how close he got to that craft because of his technical gear. Wow. And he says they got a half a mile between him and his cockpit, his cockpit and the object. And all of a sudden the thing just disappeared right past his cockpit.
Yeah.
He said he could not believe how fast it had gone. As a matter of fact, Chief Petty Officer Kevin Day tells me that when he initially saw these things drop down from 80,000 feet to the surface of the ocean, their speed was clocked at 0.78 seconds.
Wow.
Less than a second.
80,000 feet just stopping over the ocean.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's mental.
Can you imagine if you were in that craft, what your body would look like? If you're going from 80,000 feet to stopping over the ocean, you'd be peanut butter at that point.
Yeah.
That's why you would anticipate there is more extraterrestrial control of these things than we think.
Oh, definitely. Jodie's got a question for you, Michael. She says she'd love to read the document. Is it accessible online anywhere?
Jody, thank you for asking. It is out online. All you got to do is Google the term Admiral Wilson smoking gun memo.
I'll be doing that.
You will find all 15 pages. And if you guys if there's enough time today, I can give you the short scenario of how that memo was obtained, where it was obtained from, and the real strange story of how that thing finally got out to the public. Because this, we've all wondered, is there actual written proof anywhere of what's going on? Because we all know what's going on, or at least rumor of what's happening in the background, with these deep black government projects, and unacknowledged special access programs and everything. This memo lays it all out.
That's freaking crazy. What do you think of that, Nick? I mean, hearing that, buddy.
Just hearing so much about it, I mean, it's just words cannot even describe, about all this stuff that's coming up. I mean, I honestly really don't know what to say.
Well, that's exactly right, Nick, because I have now decided, matter of fact, I'm furiously working on an actual book. It'll be like 80,000, 100,000 word book, your normal size of a decent book, to be able to explain that whole process of how that happened. Because my feeling is, because see, I was on the inside. That was the guy that Grant Cameron called right from the beginning when he got this memo. And we had to vet this thing for 6 months before we even had the guts to try to contact people to get this thing out. But the whole idea of this thing being so important, most people, I think, even in ufology, have no idea of the importance of this one document and how it actually got leaked to the public.
It's mental. I mean, I've, like you say about these documents being released and these people and stuff like that. I've been reading a lot recently about like these UFO things since I was doing tonight's show, and there's one book I've been reading that's Mysteries Uncovered. And there's plenty of stories in here about some of the few we'll talk about tonight. And there's people, like you say, like off the USS Nimitz and stuff, and high-class people that have come forward and said what's going on. And it's almost like the media don't want to take any notice. They're like, all right, and they just skip over the story. But what would they, like, coming forward like that, what are they gaining from it for themselves? Nothing, really. They're, if anything, they're putting themselves in jeopardy because of the government, because of like stigmas attached to it and that. So, I mean, surely there is truth to all this. It has to be. Like, all these people aren't ruining their careers and ruining their lives just for the sake of it.
No.
There's too many stories out there.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it is remarkable. The quality of witnesses, the quantity of evidence. It is just about ready. You know, it gets to that point where like it's kind of like a domino effect. You know, it builds and builds, and at one point that first domino is going to tip. It's going to knock everything over. I mean, not just UFOs. You're talking paranormal. You're talking ghosts, Bigfoot. All those things are going to be related somehow, and we're going to be asking a lot more questions once disclosure begins.
It was funny when you were saying about, you know, the people just, the media kind of ignoring everything and not taking it for it. It kind of harkened back to something we were talking about a few weeks ago with basically that's the same way. And you just brought it up, Michael. That's how people viewed the paranormal. You know, there's always a certain amount of skepticism with anything that lies outside of, you know, people's conventional thoughts on what life and their surroundings are. So that's a very interesting thing to bring up, because I do feel like that all is related, like the cryptids and you know, there's got to be a tie that binds.
Yeah,
definitely. And on that point you said there, Adam, about like the media skipping over it. It's almost, I think they're too quick also to like say that things are fake or it's a hoax. They're too quick to jump to that conclusion, because
that's the safest approach.
Yeah, it's the safest, and it's because what people of that old, like that generation, and like it's not that long ago, like 50, 60 years ago, like we were speaking the other week, if you mentioned aliens or like ghosts and stuff, you was locked up and never seen again.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
Do you know what I mean? And that kind of social way of looking at it is still around today, although we try and fight against it. And it's a shame.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Got a couple of questions.
A couple of questions, are we? We are.
Yeah. Put that one on.
Which one? Oh, what Matt said. Yeah. Matt said, what if these are Earthlings from the future on a time-traveling vacation? That's a theory. It's a theory.
Yeah, it's definitely a theory. And of course, the whole idea of time travel is becoming so popular now, and maybe even doable. You know,
yeah, I was gonna say plausible.
So people, I mean, obviously, here's the deal. I don't know if you've heard of the missing time phenomena in alien abductions, where in reality, someone is abducted, maybe out of their car, out of their home, and they have a time stamp that they can remember in their brain when it happened. For instance, there's a case, and there's more than one of these cases, where someone is sitting there watching television. They know exactly which show they were watching and how long that show would have taken to, you know, air, and what comes on next on the schedule, for instance, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden they wake up and like it's dark and they're watching another television show, and they never finished the television show that they were seeing. Or, now that's missing time. Here's the opposite of that. That kind of goes to time travel. They'll wake up and they'll be staring at the television and they'll go, wait a minute. I just saw this before. I just saw this part of the episode before. You know, that kind of thing. What happens is, we've heard in research that they actually take you back after their abduction process, and they put you back, but they made a mistake. They put you back 5 minutes before they took you.
Huh.
Yeah.
And we've all heard those stories of them. We've all heard those stories of the people showing back up in their bedrooms after an abduction with the wrong pajamas on, or the pajamas on backwards. You know, the idea being that it's not a perfect thing that they do. They make mistakes. And one of them has been supposedly bringing people back just prior to their abduction time. And then they get this weird thing experience, like a deja vu thing, immediately as they wake up.
Yeah, that's definitely been it. It brings us quite neatly onto what we're discussing tonight about like abductions and that. And there's this couple here that I'm sure, obviously, you guys would definitely know. I don't know if people in the comments have seen these guys before. These two.
Yes, I knew you were going to bring that up. The Betty and Barney Hill abduction in 1961. Yeah, yeah.
The most famous couple ever to be supposedly abducted by aliens, Betty and Barney Hill. Now, this is a story that I read only recently in this book. I actually haven't heard about it before until I read about it, and I was blown away. Basically, people listening in or watching, they were an American couple who claimed they were abducted by extraterrestrials in a rural portion of the state of New Hampshire in 1961. It was the first widely publicized report of an alien abduction in the United States. It came to be called the Hill abduction because this or the Zeta Reticuli incident. I probably said that really wrong, Michael. I apologize. Because the couple stated they'd been kidnapped by aliens who claimed to be from that system in the universe. Now, what I found like crazy about all this, apart from all the stuff they were saying, and she actually drew a star system of where they said they were from. And this star system was not located until like 30 years later.
Yeah.
If I'm right. And
yep.
Like, how can she do that if she was no
well, I think the star system too was actually the star system that she drew. If you would reverse that, that's the way you would see it from Earth. Yep. So if you flip the star system around, so they were drawing the star system, they gave it to her from their vision of whatever planet they were from. But if you flipped it, it would be that same thing from Earth.
Wow. Do you know what I mean? Like, how's that even possible back then in the 1960s? How could she have known that system was there when it hadn't even been discovered?
Jeff's saying the star map has been debunked.
Well, that was Marjorie Fish's star map, and believe me, there is a lot of disinformation campaigns out there that do those kinds of things, debunk things. So there's arguments on either side of the case for that one for sure.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I like these two and what they went through. And now, obviously, at the time, it being the 1960s, being a mixed race marriage was a huge thing. Like,
being an interracial couple.
Yeah, so. That's why I found that it was very like taboo. You didn't do it. So for them to come forward, not only with that they're in a marriage, but then to come forward and say they've been abducted by aliens, especially for Barney, obviously being his ethnicity was something that you just didn't do, and he risked a lot of his reputation.
Surely they weren't trying to get anything out of it.
And Barney was a postal inspector as well. Yeah. And a high-ranking guy in the AACP. So he was quite a political guy too. I mean, that was just a bold move. Actually, most of it was bold on Betty's part, his wife, kind of dragging him to make sure that they tried to figure out what was going on. But yeah, that was just quite an amazing thing, and it was all over the periodicals like Look and Life magazine and all those kinds of things, big pictures and the whole thing, not of the craft, but of the Barney and Betty. And of course, we all know Kathleen Marden, MUFON. Kathleen Marden is Betty Hill's niece.
Oh, really?
Very famous person in the MUFON organization. And she worked with Stanton Friedman for decades and have written very, very many books about not only her aunt Betty Hill and Barney's experiences, but UFO research in general.
Now I've got actually a picture here of just wait, Amy, just type in the comments. Waiting on you again. But there's a picture here of I'll bring up in a second of what Barney drew of the craft actually happened, and apparently they were put under hypnosis, both Betty and Barney Hill, for an extended period of time to try and basically debunk their stories. And this guy, I can't remember his name. I should have put it on the notes there, but
they might be able to tell you.
You could probably tell me.
Dr. Benjamin Simon.
There we go. He put these under hypnosis, and he could not find any cracks in their story at all. Like, no matter what he did, and he's a professional hypnotist. He does this as a profession to try and debunk people, and he could not find anything wrong with their stories. He tried his hardest to slip them up, and they just were true to every word that they said. But this is the picture that he drew of the craft, like of what he saw. Obviously, there's no actual photo. This is just a drawing, but it's crazy to think that this is actually what happened and what he saw on that night.
And by the way, Dr. Benjamin Simon is a MD psychiatrist. He was quite well known in the Boston, Massachusetts area. So he had a reputation himself to maintain, and he was probably very reticent to come out with the findings of his investigation into this case, but he did.
It's crazy. I mean, what do you guys think of it? I mean, like, obviously everyone's got their different opinions. What do you guys think of like their story and that, if you've heard of it?
See, for something like this to occur, in this case, like the Barney and Betty Hill case of 1961, seeing how it occurred now 60 years ago, and that how it's still, it's really created an inspiration with not only an inspiration, but having other people out there who've had similar experiences come forward and talk about it. And while the experiences may be different on each case, the whole thing is it revolves all around UFO abductions. And yes, there were times that it was kind of considered, some people were skeptical at the time when it occurred, because you have to remember, we're talking early 60s here. Before that, throughout the 1950s, there was a huge craze of, UFO and alien movies. So I can understand where the skepticism came from, but for them to really describe exactly what they experienced, there's just no way you could really debunk that, especially even with all those movies that were being made around that same era.
Definitely. Marty, buddy, what do you think?
The same thing like you were talking before. I mean, they were an interracial couple in the 60s. I mean, they had nothing to gain and like everything to lose with coming out with a story like this. So, I mean, that to me leads me to believe them even more on top of the regression hypnosis and everything else, because I think part of the story was that when he got out of the car, he used his binoculars and he looked up through the binoculars and saw 11 different entities inside the ship. And that's kind of what that drawing replicates.
Yeah. And Marty, if you remember when he drew those entities and, with the eyes and the kind of really weird kind of Nazi cap on the top of their heads. That was totally different than any depiction of an alien before then. It was just, it was not like he was mimicking something.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't copying anything. It's something that he saw himself.
Definitely. Adam, what's your opinions on him, mate? Oh, you can have a totally different opinion if you want.
I think no. I think it's first of all, I want to applaud them. I never heard of these people before. I learned a lot from this show, but I applaud them for coming out. I think that it was an awesome move coming out as an interracial couple to speak out about UFOs. But the fact that, like you were saying, was probably monumental for other people coming forward and being like, yes, I'm not alone. Like, I don't care how crazy this sounds. I know what I saw. I saw what I saw. I think that takes a lot of guts, and especially knowing the backgrounds politically and stuff like that, and especially with the times. The 60s were very tumultuous times. I think that is absolutely phenomenal. And I think that they probably laid the groundwork for a lot of stuff that ended up happening later on. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite ones was Travis Walton.
Yeah,
that was
Travis Walton. Yeah,
that was a crazy story. That story never changed. He never changed the story. He always stuck to every detail.
In fact, I should bring that up quickly. I don't know if it's going to be our other show, Petri Dish, or a different show, but on the Pun Network. But one of our two shows, they're actually going to be interviewing someone who was a witness to the Travis Walton abduction. So he's actually going to be coming on at some point. I don't know if it's our show or if it's a different show, but it will be on the Pun Network.
We need to
that is Mike Heston Rogers, the crew chief. I believe
it might be. I'm not sure. I would have to ask him.
Yeah, it's a fascinating that. I mean, I've spoken with Travis many times myself at various conferences, and he never changes his story. You're right. He always tells the same details, and but the scientific. If I was going to take one case to court and try to prove the existence of extraterrestrials and aliens visiting the planet, it would be that case, because there is so much evidence and corroborative evidence by multiple witnesses that were on the crew, the Force crew with Travis.
The guys that were with him. Yeah,
there was like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
And they all passed multiple lie detector tests. I mean, 7 people. That is unheard of.
Yeah. And Travis Walton, I remember he did a lie detector test almost 20 years later in 1993, and he too passed. So
because that's when the movie Fire in the Sky came out.
I just find it amazing how all of the witnesses, as well as even some of the law enforcement that was involved in this case, it's really surprising that a lot of them are still alive today to still really tell the story. Not just Travis Walton himself, but everybody else who was involved in that case.
Right.
Yeah, it was really well done by Tracy Torme. If anyone would like to watch one film, to try to get them a whole general interview or information about the phenomena, it would be Fire in the Sky, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely feel that is one of the quintessential abduction movies. Just it incorporates a lot of the stuff that the missing time. It incorporates the losing because the car lost power and stuff like that, I believe, and just all this neat stuff. And again, the corroborating stories and the fact that nobody's story changed over that many years. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Despite folks like Philip Klass offering each one of these guys, these witnesses, $10,000 and more to change their story. Despite those offers of monetary remuneration, they haven't changed their story.
Yeah, it's the same thing too. I'm surprised there also hasn't been a movie for, as we mentioned earlier, about the Barney and Betty Hill case, as far as I know.
Oh, it's a very famous movie.
There is a movie for it.
James Earl Jones. You know who the American actor James Earl Jones is. He plays Barney. Estelle Parsons plays Betty, and it is one of the more iconic films of all time regarding. It's not just a UFO film; it's one of the better films ever made on a document. It's not even a documentary; it's really well scripted.
Well, again, I think there's a lot of really cool themes that would go into that. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out.
That makes 2 of us.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the name of that movie?
You know, I'm not quite sure the title to the movie, but if
I think it was the Benny Hill Show.
No.
That seems no. Oh, that was something else, wasn't it?
No, this would have been actual theatrical film because it got quite a good release at that point. But if you Googled the term, you'll come across that film, I'm sure, and then you can Google James Earl Jones and Estelle Parsons together. That will pop up.
It.
Yeah.
I just
I'll have
found
to
it.
check that out.
It's called
What is
it's kind of ironic. It's called The UFO Incident. And it stars James Earl Jones and Estelle Parsons. And it actually came out around the same time as Travis Walton's abduction, October of 1975.
That's how Hollywood works. Man. It's just like, oh, this is cool. Let's like make 6 other movies that are based on other things like this.
It's crazy.
I was just gonna say I didn't have that film up particularly, but I had the only one that I picked. I don't know whether anyone's seen it. Probably haven't, but we'll see. How do you do it? Share screen.
Yeah. You know,
While we're plugging theatrical films, if anybody out there wants to kind of start red pilling their friends on UFOs and aliens and Area 51 and all that stuff, the funniest movie out there to watch is one called Paul.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
Yeah. We watched it the other day, didn't we?
Yeah, we did,
Yeah, that's a fantastic movie.
I love Paul. I was actually going to do it as a background for tonight, but
it's two UK buddies on a road trip in the United States through the Area 51 UFO hotspots of the country. It's hilarious. Simon Pegg.
Oh,
I love Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg, Edgar Wright, Nick Frost, all those. And I think what's his name? Seth Rogen. Paul, I believe in that.
Yeah.
Nick, I thought you were through the ceiling then, mate.
I had my laptop.
Alien's taking you.
Being abducted right in front of us.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
What happened was I was moving my laptop. I have it right on the edge because I'm trying to get the screen to fit onto the camera. And as I was putting the laptop down, the whole damn thing almost fell.
Oh god, guys in the comments, thank you for joining us, Linda and all them. Jeff, thank you for joining us, everything, and thank you so much for liking and sharing. But I was thinking then as well, Michael, what you like about obviously these people coming forward and stuff. They had nothing to lose and all this, and it obviously shows you the job that you do, like as a lawyer for these people. It proves that this is serious and it's not just a hoax. Why would these people go to these lengths to get a lawyer to go to court and come forward with these things if it's just a hoax? You're ruining your life almost.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah, definitely. And you know what I've done in that regard for my clients? I've been an attorney for well over 34 years. And I have also done a lot of estate planning work where you come up with wills and trusts and probate opportunities to pass on people's estates. I've come up with a relatively new idea that I call a disclosure trust for my whistleblower clients who have all this stuff that they've accumulated during their lifetime of knowledge.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Whether it's an artifact, whether it's a document, whether it's just knowledge, right? What most of the whistleblowers end up doing is just dying with this information.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the deal. They really don't want to mess themselves up or their family up during their lifetime with any pressure from their, organization that they were involved with or the military or whatever. And if they try to entrust it to a family member to do that upon their death, the family member might not even be interested or know how this thing works or be into the details like they were. So literally when Grant Cameron came to me with a mysterious text one day and said, Michael, I'm about ready to drop a major UFO bomb and I need to run it by you as the paranormal lawyer. That was the text I got. It was an encrypted text, and I'm going, holy mackerel. Ever since that day, what we figured out for Grant was to set up a disclosure trust to put this document and other artifacts and things into his trust, where literally if something ever happened to him, the information would be distributed worldwide immediately.
Cool.
You set it up ahead of time so it can't be quashed, right? And you give your own directions on how and when you want this stuff to be distributed. So that's one thing I've been working on diligently for the last few years, for sure, because I've got more than one client that has asked me to do this. By the way, when you set up a disclosure trust for yourself and the information that you've gained, what we do is that we immediately advertise to the world that you have a disclosure trust, and that if anything ever happens to you, the information in it will be distributed immediately. So what that does is it gives a disincentive for anybody to mess around with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a shame it has to come to that, though, isn't it? Like, to actually try almost defend yourself.
Oh, it's always
the
been that
truth.
way. It's always been that way. That's why you never get to the truth. So disclosure is only going to happen if we start it ourselves.
Right.
That's crazy. People actually have to go through that but it's even like down to like the paranormal side of things. Like even with us, when we do things, and we always say, "Oh, you're not going to believe me," or "I didn't want to say, but I've just seen this." It's almost ingrained in us to not talk about these things and not mention these things because we think that someone's going to judge us immediately. Although it's just reality, it's just what we live with.
Yeah.
When you have guys like Commander David Fravor, Chief Petty Officer Kevin Day, people like that of that stash coming out and talking about these things now, more and more people are starting out, specifically more and more commercial and military airline pilots are starting to say, hey, maybe I can talk about what happened to me. So it's becoming less and less of a stigma.
No, it's a good thing.
Oh, I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, it is a good thing. Like, it's good that it's changing, definitely.
I mean, it also gives like a sense of comfort almost knowing that there's people out there that are willing to talk about, what's happened to them, and there's others out there when they hear their stories, well, like they start going, well, these people are talking about what's happening to them. I guess this is a good time for me to talk about my story.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good thing. What's sorry? You got questions there? Yeah, put it on the screen. So Pamela says, I'd like to hear how you all feel about the relationship between what aliens are and spirits/ghosts. So that the relationship between them.
Good question, Pam. I am thinking that that aliens are actual entities that live in different dimensions along with us. I think they can pop in and out of our dimensions. You're talking the normal grays. You're talking, all these different kinds of entities, maybe reptilians and Nordics and those kinds of folks. But then again, you've got spirits out there of deceased hominids, people like us that we're terrestrial on the planet, but literally our souls have been around forever, I believe, and kind of just keep going and going and going. And I think that the short period of time that we are present in this 3D universe on Earth is so short that I think we phase in and out of other dimensions as well as souls. And I think that the actual ghosting, the spirit and poltergeist phenomenon stuff is just evidence of the spirit and the soul living and going on and doing other things, probably coming in and out of our awareness, at any time. Maybe they even can't control it. But I think that we're going to find out that this dimensionality is going to be a key to a lot of these things.
Definitely. You guys, what do you guys think?
I agree with what he said. I think it's, with spirits and stuff like that, and, whether aliens come in and out of another dimension or whatever, I think it might be somewhat similar because, spirits and everything, they seem to be not in our dimension, but we're still aware of them. So, when you move on, you go somewhere else, and nobody until you get there knows where that place is going to be. And then it's the same thing with, aliens, could come from another, it's across the vast amount of space. They would probably have to do some sort of dimension.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and we all know of the spirit and haunting sightings that show that these entities aren't even necessarily aware of us in the same room. I mean, of course, we've got the ghost boxes, we've got the EMF meters, we've got all the things that will hopefully allow us to communicate a bit. But in some instances, you'll just see these folks, they're just kind of operating in a space that's the same as ours, but they have no clue that we're here.
Right. Just as much as we don't have a clue that they're here either, because we can't see them, so they may not be able to see us. So it might be kind of the same thing.
We just assume that they can see us.
Yeah.
Right.
I do think that a lot when we obviously do our investigations and stuff. We do we've done our stuff with the dolls and stuff like that. But I do think a lot of the time when you're using like spirit box and stuff, we're not necessarily directly communicating. Maybe we're just accidentally hearing their own conversations. You know what I mean? Almost like that's for that slight moment we've accidentally linked into their frequency sort of thing. And I think that's what a lot of hauntings are. I think in my own opinion, I think it's hard to tell the difference between the haunting of a human or like a human spirit, or maybe like you say an alien, as we call it, an alien entity. I think it's very difficult to tell the difference unless you can physically see them and that. But I do think there's they both haunt to some degree, but they don't, like you say, they don't realize they're doing it. They're just there. They can't even see us. They're in their own dimension.
Say that, like reincarnation, that we don't reincarnate into these beings.
Yeah, exactly. That's like Mike's saying. Our soul's probably been here, like you say, since the beginning of time, and it's probably just passes on to a different thing or goes to a different dimension or anything. It's
kind of like getting a new car.
Yeah. I mean, Adam, what's your opinion? Because obviously you're not got like a paranormal background, but what's your
I'm honestly I'm getting a lot out of just listening. To be quite honest with you,
I felt on the first show when we did it with Michael.
This is really fascinating stuff to learn about. And again, it's like the paranormal thing, man. I've always been a huge there's aliens, dude. And I know that's a very just rudimentary way of thinking, but I never really considered myself the closed-minded kind of individual where I could just, come on, man. There's so many different. Think about all the crazy stuff that we know about that we can prove. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't there? Why wouldn't there? Why couldn't there be?
Exactly.
So I think this is just a very, and that's my biggest thing I think that I've taken out of Nick and Tom and Amy and letting me be part of this is I've just learned so much. And it's just a very and we've had some wonderful guests like you, Michael, and just everybody else. I really do get a lot out of every show, and I learn a lot. Marty schools me on a lot of stuff. I have an advantage over a lot of people because Marty's like right there, and this is kind of up his alley. But yeah, so that's my opinion. Is I'm just fascinated to learn about this stuff, and I think anything's possible, man. So don't ever rule anything out.
What about you, Nick? What's your opinion on it all?
I mean, man, it's just so fascinating for the most part. I mean, it's like just knowing how much further we're kind of getting into understanding about, like in this case, between the relationship, for lack of a better term, with as interdimensional beings for both ghosts and aliens, knowing that there could be other types of beings that have some kind of connection, or we have it in some way. In fact, I actually wanted to bring up quickly. I mean, I don't know, Mike, I'm sure you know about this already, but Thomas Edison, despite always being looked at as the inventor of electricity, he actually was very much into a lot of the paranormal stuff, including ghost boxes. It's very much he believed that you could use some type of speaker, which eventually became the modern day ghost box, that you could eventually use to talk to spirits, talk with aliens. He even believed that you could even talk to yourself from another dimension. So
That would be cool.
it's pretty cool how far it's really gone back. So most people don't seem to realize that it's really gone back as far as to Thomas Edison's days during the turn of the century.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said there, Nick, like, sorry, I just completely lost my thoughts then.
It's okay. It's the time change, Tom. You got it.
So much interesting info. It's overwhelming you.
Right. I literally had it there on the tip of my tongue. I've completely gone it. No, it's completely gone.
By the way, I have a fast breaking news for you guys regarding the Academy of Paranormal Arts and Sciences Cosmo Awards. At one point, if we've got a little time, we can go through that. I just want to bring that up and let you know we've got another topic.
Again. Yeah, go on, go for it, Michael.
Go, Michael. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to let everyone know that the second annual Academy of Paranormal Arts and Sciences, which I created last year, by the way, out of whole cloth, is getting together again in the fall coming up to give out the Cosmo Awards, which are basically the year's achievement awards in the paranormal research, science, experiencers, ghosts, spirits, Bigfoot, all the different areas of the paranormal. Most everyone really doesn't even know what the other people are doing in other fields, right?
Yeah.
And one of the better things about the Academy Awards of Arts and Sciences, where they give out the Oscars for the films, and those kinds of things, is that at that event, a lot of people get together that are very creative and deserve awards every year, and they get to kind of communicate with one another, feed off each other's information, all that stuff. So we are again pulling this off together. I was so honored to be able to have the help of genuine UFO royalty in the UK, Philip Mantle, be one of my co-presenters and an award winner, of course, of the Lifetime Researcher of the Year award last year. We had people from all over the planet appearing via Zoom, or we had people appearing in person like Nick Pope and Daryl Sims, David Paulides, and all sorts of folks from different wide-ranging fields of the paranormal, finally getting together and kind of what people are nominated. People are nominated in various categories. We hand out the awards for runners-up, second runners-up, and then of course the winner in that category. And then here's the kicker on this awards ceremony, you guys. This is what makes this thing very different than any other awards ceremony you've ever heard of. We are encouraging every award winner, when they come up to accept their little old Oscar award. Matter of fact, I don't know if you can see these here. I got my little things here. We've got all set to go. But when we have them come up to accept these awards, we encourage them to give a bit of disclosure that no one knows about yet, that they have been working on for the last year, right? So that does multiple things. That brings everybody to this award ceremony, either via Zoom or PayPal or pay-per-view, whatever they want to get involved with, so they can find out the fast-breaking disclosure news. And it creates a competition, actually, among the researchers and the serious researchers to kind of like top the next guy. I mean,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting a really nice award, and it's Researcher of the Year, you would expect people are going to want to know
what you're up to next. Oh, sure.
What's going on now?
Yeah.
What's happening? What's happening before? Because these typically things will give you the awards be based on your experience up to this point. And I'm anticipating that these are going to be the most funnest annual event that we have. And I would like to be able to do it in various locations around the planet, have red carpet gala special, open nights with paparazzi and limos and interviews and everything, because I would think we should dress up in tuxes. We should all have a night out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. You heard him. Drinks are on Michael.
We'll definitely get you guys involved there over on the other side of the pond there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's coming up. That's such a good thing, like you say, like to create that competition between people, because then it makes people like strive to like be better, not in a bad way, but just to like it's a like healthy competition between each other.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's such a good thing.
And here's another cool thing about this idea of an awards ceremony / conference is that the whistleblowers out there that have been waiting in the wings for a long time might take these opportunities now to come out of the woodwork, I believe.
Definitely, and that's a good thing. That I suppose for them as well, to get off their chest and to let it go, so that when they do eventually like pass away and that, they can be clear in the mind of like they're not holding on to anything.
Right.
They've let everybody know what they've experienced, and unfortunately, a lot of these people do come forward at the last moment, which is a shame. But it's good if they do come forward earlier, obviously.
Well, it's the Bob Lazar syndrome. I don't know if you know what happened to Bob Lazar. He literally, worked at Area 51, back engineering UFOs, that kind of a thing. That's his claim. And literally, he came out with video proof of flying saucers over Area 51.
Yep.
Yeah.
His life was immediately in danger.
Yeah.
So he had to make the calculated decision: do I take the grief and disclose what's going on to stay alive, or do I try to just sweep it under the rug and hope they're not going to get me?
Yeah.
And so sometimes as a whistleblower, the best thing you can do is go public immediately.
Yeah.
Under certain circumstances. I'm not giving legal advice. I'd have to talk with you.
Yeah, definitely. But I do think it's a good thing, like to go public. It's almost like if they touch you, then
They'll be like, okay, well, wait a minute.
yeah,
What happened
It's
there?
almost like insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a death sentence, one or the other. I mean, but either way, the truth is out there.
Or
Right.
even a prison sentence. So
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? What time are we on? Oh, we are coming to the end, but we haven't got you in trouble, Michael, have we? Like with you mentioning these people's names, like I don't know what.
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He'll be fine.
he's the paranormal lawyer.
Yeah.
He'll get out of it.
Believe
get
me,
out.
He'll get himself out of it.
believe me, when Grant Cameron got in touch with me and gave me this 15-page memo that was not classified, by the way, okay, it was not. There was no national security stamps or anything on this document. We had to think over 6 months. It took us 6 months to figure out, wait a minute, do we even have the authority or the ability to leak this document or get this document out? Which he didn't do. Grant wasn't the guy who actually leaked it. It was an anonymous source who actually brought it back out. But we were trying to figure out how to get it out to the public without, breaching any security oaths, national security issues, or anything. It was scary for a while.
I'll bet.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that's off to you what you do. I mean, it's a dangerous game, unfortunately, for what you do and the people you protect. Like, it's, but someone's got to do it, and good on you for doing it, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, we are coming to the end, unfortunately.
Can I just say one quick thing just before we go? Did you guys read about what Sandy Griffin was talking about a few minutes ago? That they said that they encountered a UFO back in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read that. So, Sandy, if you can put some more information on there, or something, we'll drop it in just before we finish the show. That's so interesting that you've actually had an encounter like that.
And she said it looked just like the one that
The one behind
the
you,
image
yeah.
behind me, yeah. And she said she also remembered reading about Bob Lazar too.
Mm.
So that's quite
There's
fascinating.
a documentary on Amazon, I'm sure, about Bob Lazar I've watched, and it's interesting. And like you said, Michael, like when he came forward, his life was in so much jeopardy. Like he's lucky to still to have survived. Really, as bad as it sounds.
He's literally still paying for it to this day.
Yeah,
even through that documentary, he was rated during that documentary.
Yeah,
because of the 115 and stuff. So
by the FBI.
Yep.
Yeah, and
that's even 30 years.
What he did was like telling the truth, because why would they go to such lengths to try and shut him up and threaten him to not say anything else? What are they going to achieve from it? Nothing.
Yeah, because I think when they did that FBI raid, the FBI said they were looking for like an old order form or something like that.
Yeah,
and that's why they were tearing his place apart and everything else. Now they were looking for the 115 that he got from.
I mean, as far as I know, I'm sorry. Go on, Michael. Go ahead.
Can you imagine having a vial of element 115 hanging around your lab?
Oh my God! I mean, as far as I don't know
what that is.
Bob is basically one of two former employees of Area 51 who's really spoken out. Tom and Amy, I've told you about it before. There was someone else who was also interviewed back in the 90s. He was in his 70s, and that he worked at Area 51 throughout the 50s and 60s. But I think he ended up staying anonymous. So, matter of fact, I don't even know if he's still around. But, out of the two, Bob Lazar's is undoubtedly the most notorious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is he the one who rang the news channel and said that he worked there, and then they cut him off when he's halfway through saying what he's doing?
Yeah, that's a famous. It's a radio station. That was.
I think you might be talking about George Knapp, who
I was going to say George Knapp,
friend who broke the story.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
He worked for KLAS TV in Nevada, Las Vegas. I think he still does. I think he still does the I-Team.
He does.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
he does. He does coast to coast too.
Oh, okay.
You learn something new every day. But yeah, we are coming to the end, unfortunately. Michael, we do something new now at the end of our show. We do like a little question game. This is Hefty's favorite part of the show.
Yeah, this is new for you, Michael. We didn't do this before.
Basically, it's just a random game. It's called a shot in the dark. Ask a couple of questions. It's just general trivia knowledge that nobody really knows the answer to. It's just a bit of fun. We ask a couple of questions and see what you can get.
Please, people in the comments as well, if you want to join in and play the game, then by all means.
Sandy just gave more detail about.
Oh yes, we'll drop that in quickly now. Then, so she says, Sandy, about her encounter. Says, we were just traveling down a country road late at night, heading home, and all of a sudden the car lit up from above. I rolled the window down and looked up, and there it was. My sister took off, but it kept up. When we made our turn to go home, it just disappeared.
So North Carolina.
In North Carolina. That's crazy, Sandy.
Wow.
Like, experience. Like, wow.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do in that situation.
Yeah.
Exactly the same, wouldn't you?
It sounds very similar to Mum and Dad, though, because they were travelling on a long road, and they said that there was a bright
They've
light
had something following, wasn't it? Yeah.
following on the road, for the whole
And it also
day.
happened, and that too also happened in the 70s too. It just seemed like, once again, it seems like the later part of the 20th century, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, there was just tons of UFO encounters, reports, and abductions, and in some cases chases. So it's right around that same era once again.
I'm probably going to see less now because we know that we've got
with the Hill and Travis Walton incidents.
That's exactly what happened to them.
Yeah, exactly. Like Liam says as well, like they probably back off a bit more because we're so violent now. Like
we've got nuclear weapons.
we have these nuclear weapons.
I want to go there.
I wouldn't blame them, really. I mean, they probably are just coming here because they're curious about us. Like, what are we doing? Like, who are we? And then our first instinct is to shoot it down or capture it. And it's no wonder they don't want to interact too much because they're afraid.
Well, there's also reports of those who had close encounters with extraterrestrials. Like, they spoke to them telepathically, and the reason why they haven't really landed on Earth, permanently, was because they've been monitoring our planets. Like, they know about the global warming. They know about what our behavior is like. Sometimes they're very well aware about our wars, terrorism. They don't want to come down here because they probably come from a planet that's like paradise.
Yeah.
That it's completely the opposite of how we live on this planet. Pollution, that's another one. So any negative thing that you could think of that's happened to our planet, it's probably why they've never landed or lived on this planet.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
New Jersey.
I have a really big theory as well, and it might seem daft, like a girly brain, but I think that aliens actually put us on this planet, and they're watching us and they're studying us to see how we evolve over time.
And
That's
they
what
are
I think.
disappointed as hell.
Yeah.
They're like, oh.
They are, yeah.
Sandy made more details. She said she wasn't scared for some reason. I kept my head out of the window most of the way home until she reached 80 miles an hour. They lock their doors when they ride by our planet. LOL.
Yeah, it's true. I get the cough again. What's the matter with me?
You get like nervous by the end of something.
I don't know. I get the coughs. I don't know why. But yeah, so we're unfortunately at the end. But we'll have a couple of questions and have a bit of fun to finish, like we always do. So guys in the comments, if you want to join in, then go for it. So yeah. So first question. This is a total shot in the dark, Michael. So it's nobody really knows. That's just whatever you think.
Although you might be right.
Yeah. Or if
Matt, is Matt here?
Matt,
where are you at? You lurking, Matt?
He's lurking in the comments.
He's probably hiding, just waiting.
He was biding his time. He's like, wait for it.
Well, we're almost there.
How long would it take to travel to the moon if you traveled the entire way at 70 miles per hour? Michael's going to answer.
Did you say how fast were you traveling?
70 miles per hour.
70. 70.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. You know, I think this is a great question because I always try to put things in perspective as a lawyer to try to explain it to a jury.
3 years.
There he is.
The moon is 240,000 miles from planet Earth. Okay?
140,000.
240, a 500,000 miles from the planet. We know how long it takes to travel across the United States, 3,000 miles by airplane at 300 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It takes quite a chunk of the day to get across 3,000 miles at 300 plus miles an hour. So if you're going 70 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, it's going to take you a whole heck of a long time to get to the moon, 250,000 miles away.
Mm.
Okay.
It's got to be.
That didn't help.
It's got to be over a week.
Stop cheating, Martin.
Here it is. It took the Apollo astronauts 3 days.
3 days.
That was their typical time frame to get to the moon from Earth. And you know how fast they must have been going. I don't know the actual speed. But,
25K mile per hour for Apollo.
25,000 miles an hour.
It's definitely more than 70 miles an hour.
Matt says 3 years. Starseed says 3 weeks. Jeff says 4
25
years.
miles, yeah.
Rob says 6 months. Joanne says 3 years.
I'll say about 8 months.
8 months, yeah.
8 months. Oh.
I'm going to go 4 months.
Really?
Yeah. It's going to be a long time, but I don't think it's going to be that.
If you took 250,000 and divided it by 7 or 70,
come up with roughly 3,400.
That'll give you the amount of hours.
About 3,400 hours.
You've been calculating, haven't you?
Yeah.
Martin just sucked the fun out of everything.
All right.
I'll go 1 year.
1 year. Any more guesses before I give you the answer?
I'm going to go for half a year.
Half a year, yeah.
6 months.
9.
9.
9. Wait,
Just
9
9.
years or 9 months?
It's like playing The Price is Right. I bid $1.
Yep. I'll say 9 months.
9 months, yeah. It's 4 months and 21 days.
Really?
Oh.
Oh, Chewy was close. Rob was close.
Yeah, so was
Cheaters.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheaters.
Matt, you failed again.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
Matt, you're not doing well this time, buddy.
Matt, you disappoint us.
He said it when we were rousing up. He was like, "I did well one day," and
Yeah.
and he's trivia king all the
4
time.
months and 21 days.
I thought it'd be longer, but fair enough, not then.
That's crazy.
Right, so I've just seen the answers. I won't answer this one. I just saw the answer.
Now you're cheating.
I didn't cheat. I accidentally saw it. If you're stranded without a water supply, can you survive by drinking your own urine?
So,
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Stranded
Yes,
without
you can.
water, can you survive by drinking your own urine?
Yeah, you can, but they say you should only drink it once.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, everyone's saying yeah. I don't know what the comments are saying.
But
Yeah, that is a survival strategy, but there are some trade-offs as well, as far as different even ways that it affects your body too. So,
Yeah.
but it's the last ditch.
Sorry, Michael. Go on.
You're going, sorry.
Yeah, it's a last ditch effort to keep your body organs functioning.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't puke your butts out. Yeah.
Jeff was asking again about
To repeat the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says if you're stranded without water supply, can you survive by drinking your own urine, your own piss? Common sense.
Your one was good.
Well, I don't know.
Stick it there, didn't you?
Tom, I like that. I like that.
I don't know if it's just like,
Say wee wee.
I don't know. Like,
Wee wee.
that's what I say to the dogs.
No, say wee wee.
They understand that.
Shut up, you.
Right, the answer is only
He's
in
like
the short
adjusting
term.
for how long. That is an open-ended question.
Yeah. It says only in the short term. If you only drink your own urine, waste products will increase in concentration in your body, causing illness and ultimately
Yeah,
death.
because when you take a leak, you're expelling toxins. That's That's the basic functionality of that.
But when it says there, you can. When you only drink your own urine, does that suggest that you could drink someone else's and you could survive longer?
Yes.
Do you want
Depending.
Not really. I'd rather die.
Yeah, me too.
Depending on their level of toxicity, maybe.
Yeah,
That's right.
How many times have they drank it first?
I try to keep my pH balanced for just such an occasion. So I'm like, like I'm walking to work and I'm like, I'm out of soda. Well, looks like it's
a bit thirsty. All right, we'll go for one more before we go. We've got time for one more.
This card as well.
I didn't pick this card. It's just random.
You did.
It says here for the last one, what percentage of men say that they are scared of spiders?
All of them.
Oh, you're scared of spiders? Are you serious, Adam?
I hate spiders, dude. I hate spiders. Yeah.
Okay, so for someone who likes a lot of horror stuff, you hate spiders.
I hate spiders.
You hate that spider movie as well, don't you?
I hate all spiders.
Arachnid, I think that was the name of the
Yeah,
movie.
that's the one.
Eight-legged freaks.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yes, eight-legged freaks.
Yeah.
80%. Oh, I'm going 90%.
What are you saying, Michael? You're the scientist guy. You probably get this one on point, I think.
Well, I think the arachnophobia thing, one of the phobias, is probably the worst that we've all got. But when you're talking a full population of people who potentially live around the planet with spiders every day, I would
Australia, New Zealand. Yeah.
I mean, different cultures and all that kind of stuff. I would say on an average, maybe 10%.
That's a good guess.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys are wusses.
Stuck between 40 and 60 says Linda. Starseed says 70. Rob says 20. Sandy says 10.
Jeff says 60%.
That says 23. Matt, I hope you're right.
I'm gonna go. It's got to be low. It's got to be about. I'm gonna go 15%. It's got to be low.
Because you're male.
I'm gonna go 7. I'm gonna say 7%.
Sandy had a good point there.
I'm listening to the smart guy down there. I'm listening to this cat right here. I'm gonna go 7.
I'm going to have to say 15%.
Yeah, I go 15.
I'll go 20.
Sandy had a good point as well. She's saying that most men don't admit to being scared of anything, which is true. They have to admit it first.
I can make a list of stuff I'm scared of.
The answer is 33%.
Oh,
What,
Wow.
Matt? 10 off.
Compared to 52% of women.
Matt's
Wow.
3, I mean, he's only 10 off. So
Hey, pretty close to that, Matt. Pretty close to that one.
Yeah, Matt, Rob, and Jeff. I think we're all pretty. Oh no, Jeff was a little off.
No,
of 60, but
And Matt was still not close. Matt, you disappoint us.
damn, that poor guy.
Where's Matt? All I gotta say for you is, I'm sorry.
But yeah, unfortunately, we have run out of time. But again, Michael, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. Absolute pleasure to have you on. Absolute honor.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's fun.
Yeah,
So part 4.
yeah, we're definitely going to be having you on
We'll
again.
have you back
Definitely.
again.
I was gonna say I don't think he's coming back again after this show, and then Tom kept him waiting. So
I was gonna say make sure it's not on a time change.
I'll do my best.
Matt just said he's crawling his way back.
Thanks, Matt, Jeff, everybody in the comments. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, thank you so
thank
much,
you very
guys. You
much.
make this show, obviously, like we said last week. Without you guys in the comments, it would basically just be chatting to ourselves. But yeah, yeah, we will be doing another video this weekend. Unfortunately, we haven't been on this week doing very much because we had a bit of an issue in my family, but that's all solved now. But we will be back on it at the weekend. We will be getting another video out there to you guys as soon as possible. And
Some more doll videos.
more doll videos. But Haunting Nights, we are starting the ghost walks as of the 1st of April. So we will be hopefully filming some of that as well, getting some new footage out there. We are starting to slowly get back into the swing of things over here, which is good.
What's the show next week?
The show next week is Psychic Medium Kerry. She's back on with us next week.
Oh,
I
Kerry's
believe.
nice.
There you
Awesome.
go.
Nice.
Let me double check.
That'd be a good one.
I'll get the dolls prepared.
Yes, she's back on next week. We've got Kerry on next week, so
I'll
that'll
have
be
to
a
tell
good show.
Howard. I'm gonna have to tell Howard about it. I'm sure he will love all those dolls.
But yeah, apart from that, what else we haven't got very much else going on at the moment, have we? But I will say, Haunting Nights. Obviously, if you haven't booked to go on a ghost hunt yet, you're probably too late because they are getting booked up fast. But have a look now if you want to go. It is only UK based, but definitely look into them. They are the best ghost hunting company in the UK by far. But please book up because they are going fast. Guys, anything from you before we go?
Doing a spicy challenge tomorrow night on my channel. So yeah, that should be fun. It's not going to be live, so it'll either be up late tomorrow evening or Sunday, and I will be in pain. And I want to thank Marty for coming on. Marty's awesome.
I'll be in pain.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Marty, it was nice to
Thank
meet
you guys.
by the
I
way.
appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah. But yeah, we will be doing obviously a show with you, Marty. It's coming. I can't remember the date we went for, but we will
April
be.
13th or something. It was mid-April, I remember. Something like the 13th, 18th, something
But
like that.
Marty, obviously, if guys in the comments haven't realised yet, he's big into all the paranormal UFO stuff, and he's got a lot of knowledge behind it. So we will be doing a show all about his stuff. So.
More knowledge than hair.
But I'm sure I think you're going to be quite a regular on our shows.
Yeah.
If you're up for it, it's
Yeah, absolutely.
great to have you
I- absolutely.
on. Nick, anything going on with you, buddy?
Not really much. Honestly, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head for right now. Although it's funny when we had our show last night, they were actually briefly talking about our guest we had was briefly talking about scary stories, and I was just making the announcement that I was going to be in another month or so, as I previously have said. I'll say it again. I'll be doing a new audiobook series for this book, which is Tales from Valley View Cemetery.
Cool, yeah. Happy days.
Go on, Tom. Show your book off. You feel proud about having this book now.
You got the book.
I got the book.
Yeah!
Eventually, I got the book.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm already like a quarter of the way through, so it's a cracking book, guys.
Told you. Told you.
Michael, buddy, have you got anything going on that people need to know about? Or
Any more
Well,
juicy
just to make a general announcement about my next appearance at a conference will be next month at the Edinburgh, Texas UFO Fest, which is rated the third biggest in the world, basically. They're calling it.
yeah.
We're going to have Daryl Sims there, Nick Pope there, myself, and a bunch of other speakers. That's April 9th through the 11th in Edinburgh, Texas. And I'll tell you what, the ticket prices are like $30 and $40. It's just very inexpensive.
That's awesome.
That's cheap,
So,
yeah.
and you know, the conferences are starting to open up now.
Yeah.
Live. It's going to be a live conference. It will be available, I'm sure, by a Zoom and, you know, pay-per-view and all that stuff. But there will be hundreds and if not thousands of people at this conference because it's one of the largest ones in the United States. The Edinburgh, that's EDINBURG, Edinburgh, Texas UFO Fest.
I'm surprised I have not heard about this one.
It kind of snuck up because here's the deal: they had to cancel it last year, and they only I don't know if you guys have noticed around the UFO and or just the political community, they have just now recently starting to open up restaurants and public gathering places to a certain percentage of capacity. And now they're scrambling around to put things together that they normally do on an annual basis, and they didn't think they were going to be able to do it. Now they are.
Wow,
Fantastic.
I didn't realize they were able to do it.
Yeah, it's good. It's
Awesome.
things getting going. Hopefully, we'll start be doing that stuff here. But
Yeah.
it's a bit slower over here, unfortunately. But we're getting there slowly. But yeah, again, thank you, everyone. Marty, Michael,
Thank
Nick,
you, guys.
please. Thank you so much for coming on. It's awesome to have you guys on.
Been fun.
We're definitely privileged every time we do this show, like to speak with you guys. But yeah, so next week, next Friday, it will be back to the usual time because our clocks are changing as of Sunday. So it'll probably mess up the whole thing again for next Friday. But we'll get there. We will get there. We're going to be talking with Kerry about more tarot reading and that side of things, and like the deja vu kind of side.
And why Bobo's got an attitude.
Yeah, why Bobo's
He just hates Tom. He hates Tom. I don't get it. Bobo does not like Tom. No problem with me. Bobo's cool with me, I guess.
But yeah, we'll see you next week, guys. Have a cracking week. Enjoy yourselves. Make the most of it. Life's too short, so enjoy yourselves and stay safe. See you later, guys.